Suit up, strap in, warm the tires, and leave on yellow. Time for the MitsuTimes podcast. Presented by MitsuTimes.org, the home of the fastest Mitsubishi cars. With your host, Josh.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Josh with MitsuTimes. Today, our guest is Adriana and I. I usually say you've probably seen her car, such and such, but you've definitely seen her car. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm glad to finally have you on. I feel like you're my first celebrity on here.
Oh my god. Jeez, I'm no celebrity.
You've kind of been everywhere and done everything. Best known for the Phoenix Red 1G, as seen on TV. So what's the current status of the Phoenix?
The Phoenix is back to ashes, I guess you can say.
Nice.
Before it rise again, I guess. Wow, that was pretty slim. I'm good.
That was good. So you talked a little bit about it on Netflix, but why the 1G DSM?
So honestly, the 1G, my dad just has loved 1Gs forever. So he had God knows how many throughout my lifetime that I saw come and go. And honestly, it's definitely my favorite body style as well. It's all-wheel drive obviously isn't really ideal for all-out track racing, but the car was initially built to just be a fast stick-shift street car, or I shouldn't say fast, I guess quick, it's a relative term, but a quick stick-shift street car that we would just go out, late at night and obey the speed limit and things like that, and then it just kind of went out of control. So if this was the end goal, the way the car sits now, we never would have done it in all-wheel drive at all.
Yeah. So the plan wasn't always to be a race car. It was just to go light to light, pretty much.
Correct, yeah.
So did you guys ever envision it being the top 10 fastest 1G DSM?
Not at all. Not at all.
Obviously, we know the Zona Rotor 9569S that brought you to the 8154, and we also know the FP Black stock bolt-on record that you and Tom pretty much set out of reach for everyone else to try to attempt. So what other setups has been in the Phoenix other than those two?
I guess we had the black from the jump. So back even when it was just a little street car build, we had that FP Black. I mean, it's a great street turbo.
Yeah. There
was never any lag in it or anything. So we had the black, and then we went to that little 62, that 7869, and now we have the 9569. Well, technically it's 9564. So it's actually a little bit smaller than what most people think. But
okay.
Yeah, so it's just been those three.
So can we talk about I'm big on the stock frame turbo record. I think it's absolutely amazing what you guys were able to achieve. Can we talk about the setup on the car when that record was kind of put way out there?
Yeah, it was honestly, it wasn't something that we were gunning for initially. It just kind of happened that we ended up so close to it, and then my dad said, okay, screw it, let's just go for it, I guess. It wasn't something that we set out to do from the beginning. If we had really, really cared about, having, some super, super low number with it, we would have gutted the car beforehand. It was it was every bit of a street car. It was full interior. If you go back and look at the video, you can kind of see, I guess I probably should have done a little bit better of a job when I did the video on it, but you can see, it has full indoor door panels. Yeah. It's got full glass. It's, it was every bit of a street car at that point. I believe I still had the radio car. So, it really was not something that we had initially set out to do. We just, one day, I don't even know how it came about, but I don't know if it was posted or maybe it was, when the list was being put together or something, and it just caught my dad's eye, and he goes, wow, we're actually kind of close to that. and then he just decided that we'd go for it. So.
And go for it, you did. My God,
Yeah.
there were so many people kind of leapfrogging the stock frame turbo record, and then you guys just kind of hit a home run, and I think everybody was like, well, that's not going to be able to be beat, so we'll push on to something
Yeah,
else.
and we didn't do anything crazy. It was on Ignite Red, so it's nothing crazy.
So that was pretty much what made you guys push the stock frame record, was just the a list came out and your dad said, man, we're close to it, so let's go for it.
Literally, yes.
That's amazing. So I mean, it's hard for anybody to predict. It's impossible. But do you think that record is even capable of being broken?
100%. Because, like I said, the car was such a street car at that point. You know what I mean? Just in weight alone, if you had the same exact setup, and say I had the car basically the way that it sits now with all the lightweight body panels and everything, that's good for, oh my God, a lot.
Yeah.
Like it just becomes lighter now. So that alone, plus like if you really took the time to really mess with it and tinker it, like we went out for one day, it was one test session day. We were having a private rental, and Vic said, hey, if you want to come out. I think actually the goal that day was honestly just to run an 8, but yeah. So he was like, yeah, like we're having a private test session, you guys come out, da-da-da-da, and we did it in just the one test session, really, you know what I mean? It's not something that we sat there and hammered, and it's not like I had a fuel system to where, like, I couldn't run meth, you know what I mean? Like, There's definitely a lot of ways that record can and should and likely will be broken, so.
It's just so crazy that the nearest car is half a second away, and
really?
Yeah, and people have been climbing and it seems like I think Nathan, obviously from Performance Part Out, he's done racing, so his 9-1, which would be the second place car, isn't going to go for it anymore. And then you look at the next couple cars; those cars aren't racing anymore, so. I think if it does get broken, it's going to be probably from a car that isn't all-wheel drive. So I think the all-wheel drive stock frame record is probably going to be around for a while.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So with the Phoenix kind of coming back from the ashes part 2, do you think it has what it takes to break into the 7s?
Yeah, I mean, the old setup would have broken into the 7s fairly easily. Okay, so yeah, the Phoenix for sure. I mean, if I had really pushed it again the way that it sat before, it would have gone 7s. I was 60 foot away, really.
Yeah, very
so
close.
I had gone an 815 with like a kind of a high 60 foot for me, and that was on some Mickey Thompsons that we were talked into trying, and we ended up hating them, so we put the Hoosiers back on, and then that had honestly never gone out, and then I lost him, and everything else, then it was just plagued with transmission issues after one thing after another,
drivetrain issues, yeah.
Yep, and then I decided that I'm gonna change things up. So here it is. I debated going for a 7 because the car ran and drove and everything, and by the time at World Cup, by the time I had it all figured out, it was over. Like I didn't have any more chances. But
yeah.
When I had come home and everything, and it ran and it drove and everything, I was super, super tempted to go over to Bradenton and just make a pass because I knew what it needed. At that point, we had it all figured out. I just needed to put the pass together. And I was like, you know what? I'm all set because I'm going to go and I'm going to go for it, and something stupid's going to happen, and then I'm going to have to fix it again before I can get last. So I was like, you know what? It's fine. It's not a big deal. I'm happy with the way everything is, and it's just time to move on. So.
I mean, yeah, like you said, definitely so close to the 7s. It's kind of heartbreaking to see. For a while, we didn't think that you were going to go for it, so we're like, oh man, you're so close.
Yeah.
So what does the future hold for the Phoenix? Obviously, it's back in action. So how do you foresee the future going for it?
For right now, it just is in my garage, climate controlled, and enjoying, I guess, semi-retirement, you could say. There's a lot of, I mean, aside from just part shortages and things like that, I'm not really giving anything away right at this time, but just the way that everything is right now, it's like I don't really feel like writing a blank check, and then I see nothing in return for
Right.
8 months to a year plus. So it's that, and then it's also just there's a lot of just emotions and things like that to overcome with
For
it.
sure, yeah.
So I just kind of am like, I just let it sit in the garage and stay protected and out of harm's way, essentially. But one day when I eventually wake up and I feel like I can go work on the car without just essentially getting angry or sad or whatever, I'll get cranking on it. So right now it's just kind of in hibernation, I guess, is a better word.
Good. As long as it's still in one piece, that's really all we care about.
Kind of.
So you think, looking back on all the kind of changes and setups that the Phoenix has had, would you go back through all of them the same way?
Oh my gosh, no. Not at all. I would have skipped, and my dad always said the same thing. I would have definitely skipped the stage of having stroker motors in it. So, yeah. That's the one thing that I would skip. Everything else, pretty much, yes. But we tried doing the stroker motor thing, or stroker engine, I guess. Honestly, just because it was something different. Because, like I said, my dad had been around DSMs forever, and
Right.
he the Ford up in and out, and he wanted to try something a little bit different that he hadn't done before. So we did the stroker thing, and it was just the biggest, just no. So that's the one thing that I would, if I went back and started over, I would skip that stage.
That's what a lot of people, I hear that a lot. They would skip the stroker and they would skip starting off with the manual.
No, I wouldn't skip that. I enjoyed it, and we learned a lot. And honestly, so there was a goal, and I don't think it was ever talked about because way back when the car was a grudge car, so we didn't show times or anything.
Right.
And my dad had set a goal to drive it to the track, run a 9-second pass, and be able to drive it home all as a stick shift. And he did. He accomplished that goal.
Yeah.
But I don't think that was ever talked about because, like I said, it was a grudge car, so we didn't talk about times or anything. So I wouldn't have skipped that stage. Like I said, I learned a lot and I enjoyed it and everything else. So I still would have stayed with that. I just would have skipped the stroker.
So are there any goals for 2022 with the Phoenix? You just going to let it live out its semi-retirement for the rest of this year?
Honestly, probably. I mean, the year's flying by. I'm so busy all the time with, I just have a million and one things going on, and I feel like I barely have time to stop and think.
Yeah.
Let alone try and work on the car. So right now, probably I'm enjoying. I've been driving a dragster. Super different, super weird. And I've got a lot going on with trying to help out with some projects that we've got with the truck and trying to get FL2K ironed out and everything else. So honestly, I'm just so busy and so overwhelmed that I honestly probably won't even. Yeah, I probably won't turn a wrench on that car until next year.
I think that's fine with all of us. I mean, everybody was sad to see the potential part out. So as long as it's staying together, even if it's not being raced, I love to see that. So obviously your dad had plenty of 1Gs. You had that 240SX for a while. Have you had any other Mitsubishis other than the Phoenix?
So I still have the 240, which I still can't decide what the hell I'm doing with that. But technically, yes, I do. See, I forget that I am so scatterbrained. I do have another Mitsubishi. I have a Galant. I have a GVR4.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
We need to see some pictures of that thing.
Oh my gosh, it's kind of a disaster. I technically also have a 2G, but that was honestly just that was technically just bought as a parts car. Technically, I have it. So yeah, I have a Galant. It's up in Pennsylvania. I bought it a year and a half ago, and I still haven't seen it.
As long as you got it, I guess that's what matters.
Yeah, I mean,
it's in good hands.
If that doesn't explain my life.
This episode of the MitsuTimes podcast is brought to you by PFB Products.
PFB Products produces grounding kits and ram air headlights for many Mitsubishi makes and models. Their grounding kits are made to exact fit using large gauge wire and are professionally soldered and clamped to ensure lifelong worry-free use. The ram air headlights are made using OEM headlights for exact fit and are designed to allow maximum airflow into the engine bay without creating additional drag. Get the peace of mind that your harness is properly grounded and get the benefit of a quality-made, functional ram air headlight all in one place. Find all of their products at pfbproducts.bigcartel.com.
So, I feel like there's a lot of 1Gs exchanging ownership the last few months. A lot of big names are getting out. The big name fast cars are exchanging hands to new owners. Someone out there, they just bought a 1G and they want to go fast. You have a ton of experience, probably more than someone that's been into it twice as long. What advice would you give that person?
Don't do it. No, I'm kidding. Zone rotor turbo, for sure. Fuel injector clinic injectors, for sure. Honestly, okay. If I'm being like dead serious, obviously I would steer them FP zone rotor for turbos, or for turbo. And like, it's so hard to say. I'm probably gonna offend people, but it's fine. I do it every day. So honestly, I would just tell when people build a car in general, it doesn't even have to be a 1G, but cars in general, they tend to just they'll be like, oh, if I just put like 100 millimeter turbo on the car, it's gonna be fast.
Right.
And that's it. That's all I need. And that's not it though. You have to learn how to maximize your setup and what you have, and that's kind of what it's literally what we've always done and what my dad always believed in is more of a max effort setup. That's why I blow shit up all the time. Because it's a max effort setup. So we're literally pushing everything to its absolute limit and no one thing just sticks out. We don't have just massive injectors and then nothing else, or massive cams and nothing else. So learn to maximize your setup and max out what you have. But honestly, I am a huge fan of, and it depends on what fast is. It depends on what that means to you. Obviously, it's a relative term, and it really depends on what their goals are.
Right.
Like I said, I put a house tech on the car. We blew a lot of stuff up with not having the ability to have any safety parameters on the car. So I would definitely say spend the money and get a health tech and use all of your safety parameters. It'll save you a lot of money in the long run. So that's like a huge thing for me. Definitely spend the money on the ECU, have the safety parameters set up, learn how to learn, but by learn I do mean just ask, but maximize your setup, get as much weight out of the car as you can, because weight is it's free ET, which as we know, it costs a lot of money to lower ET. So weight's free ET, and it helps minimize parts breakage. So the car weighing less, obviously it's not as hard on the part as hard on things, so you don't break as many parts. Most people don't realize I still technically have a stock 4-bolt auto diff in the car.
Oh wow.
I don't have a 3000 GT diff up until FL2K, which was October of this past year. I had stock axles. Like, I didn't have all this, like, you don't have to just go buy the biggest, baddest, highest dollar stuff. You know what I mean? Especially if you're on a budget. So, I went 124, I think was my lowest. I went 124, 126, a ton of 130, 131 60 foots on stock diffs, stock axles. I only ever broke one diff. I think I only ever broke one axle. So you gotta be smart about it. Take the weight out where you can. Ask questions. Like, don't be afraid to ask questions, I guess, is a huge thing. Know who you're talking to. Don't just take advice from anybody and everybody, because unfortunately with the internet, everybody thinks that they're an expert. But learn who the smart, I shouldn't say smart, learn who the people are that are A, going to steer you in the right direction, and B, are willing to help out. So I would literally be like, oh, talk to Aaron, talk to Josh from HowTech. Don't talk to me. No, I'm kidding. But those are like talk to Joe. I mean, obviously Joe Bucci was my dad's best friend. He knows anything and everything about small setups, and especially if you want to do front wheel drive. I have no idea why he's into the front wheel drive stuff. I think he's part Puerto Rican, but it is what it is. Like I would literally steer people like in those directions of like, talk to this person, talk to that person. What is it that you want? What is your budget? So it's kind of, I guess I really didn't answer your question because it's kind of a loaded question because there's just so much that if they said that they wanted to go fast, I would return with a whole lot of questions before I had any advice for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair. I think to kind of punch home the point of not just buying the biggest turbo, your FP Black, which has an 82 millimeter exducer wheel, it has 14 FP99s, which has a 99 millimeter wheel behind it. So that's 17 millimeter difference, and we see that it doesn't always mean that you're going faster.
Correct.
So that's Correct. Pretty awesome.
So go ahead.
You talked about FL2K. Is there any events that you plan to be at in 2022? I know we haven't seen you at the shootout in a while.
Just as me in general, I'll be at FL2K. I'll be at World Cup Finals. I'll be. I'm trying to think of events that aren't domestic events because I go to those. But those are like the two biggest import, I guess, events where there's other DSM people. I do not foresee myself making the shootout. It is right on top of FL2K and the 10-year anniversary, and so we just have a lot of stuff going on. As far as getting ready for the event, we have a lot of big plans this year and everything else. So I just honestly don't even see myself having the ability to fly up there and take a few days, but we'll see. I mean, never say never for anything. It's open. The possibility's there. Maybe I'll just do a turn and burn and show up for a day and say hello and leave. Yeah, so those are like the two events that I'm definitely going to be at, and yeah.
So at the beginning of the year, I put out an Instagram post about like what are your predictions for this year, and you said that you predicted that Aaron would be quicker than Devin by the end of the year. Now, since Devin has broken to the sixes, obviously Aaron's not far behind, but do you still think that's going to hold out?
Yep.
That's interesting. I can't wait to see. I think Aaron's got a whole new setup going, so I can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah, I'm not giving anything away. But
you got all the inside knowledge.
I mean, Aaron's my boy. Like I love Aaron. Aaron's super smart. Aaron's probably the most badass DSM guy ever. He's super knowledgeable. He takes his time with things. Like I said, he learns what different setups like and things like that. And full confidence in him. And I think he's going to do it at an actual event under either actual qualifying or elimination round. And yeah, I think a lot of people are going to be super surprised, stoked, whatever, but 100%. Aaron's my guy. So of course I'm gonna root for him and hype him up.
Awesome. So I always give people an opportunity to give a shout out to anybody. It's helped get them where they are. I know you have a whole list. It's probably half the episode of you naming off people, but we'll let you go ahead and get started.
I'll start with people that are in the DSM community, I guess. So obviously Marco from Magnus Motorsports, if I'm going to say the whole thing. He was friends with my dad for years. He's always, anytime I literally am like, Marco, I need this overnighted like right now. And so he gets it done. So I abuse him a little bit, but it's okay. Obviously Robert from First Performance / Zona Rotor, he was the first, I want to say, who was the first company to come on board, which was all because of the Netflix thing. He's, again, known my dad for years and years and years. He's always super supportive. Again, I bully him too, and he takes it all in stride. He's very supportive of us and the car and everything. Obviously, Kigley, maybe Aaron more so than Kevin. I'm just kidding, but they're again just a super important role in the car. Even their kids were helping work on the car at World Cup Finals. They're more of like a family oriented thing. They're literally hands on in my car. He was underneath the car changing the transmission. So changing the transmission. Oh my gosh, swapping the converter out, pulling the transmission. My bad. So yeah, super duper love them. Obviously, my super secret wizard magic torque converter. So Florida torque converter. They make this little 8-inch little converter do a whole lot of magic. So of course I have to thank them. Drive Shaft Shop, of course, for helping me out with the axles and the drive shaft and anything else that I bothered them with. They're pretty awesome. Fuel Injector Clinic, they're a big supporter of the DSM community, and I'm a big believer and advocate for supporting the companies that support this obsolete platform.
Definitely.
There's not a lot of people that'll support, that'll put money into it, that'll show up to the event, that'll vend and things like that. So I love, Fuel Injector Clinic for that. Their injectors are great. Never had an issue. They get them done same day. Which going from that is also Haltech. I mean, Haltech's a major company. They work with people that are way they could cut us off and it not affect them whatsoever, but they don't, and they're huge supporters of the platform, and they always come out and their tech support is unmatched and their technology is great. And obviously, I shouldn't say obviously, but now after I lost my dad was the one who tuned the car up until he passed away, and now Josh from Haltech tunes the car. So again, just a great company, and they support the whole platform, and then me and everything else. Carbonetics, of course. Whole car's carbonetics, pretty much. I'm not quarters and rear bumper. That's it. So everything on the car is carbonetics. Just nice people, great product. The carbon fiber interior is just like unmatched. My interior looks better than Aaron's, I will say. I'm lost on my list here. Vibrant, they've helped me out a ton. They're all the piping, their quick release fitting. I forget what they call them. Not quick release, but they have these. I don't know what they're called, but basically instead of I tried doing the Alpha Lock route on all of the piping and everything. Definitely do not recommend. So Vibrant has their version of it. The HD clamps. I'm sorry, that's what they're called. So their HD clamps, super easy, super just like one hand and done, and they come off easy, they go on easy. I'm not snapping O-rings, then running around trying to figure stuff out. So I really like them, and again, super fast turnaround times and nice high quality product too. Like their products are great. I've never had an issue with getting stuff welded or fabbed or anything like that with any of their metal. Which, speaking of fabricating and piping and all that, 5 Bar Motorsports helped me out a lot before FL2K this past year, and they did the whole new front mount setup on there for me and a couple other little things that he needed done. So super duper appreciate them. I owe the fact that, and I will stand in front of anybody and say this, I owe the fact that I have the best looking DSM to Dave from Dr. Dentman. He did the full custom, I don't even know how many coats, octacoat something or other.
He had to do it twice, didn't he?
Yeah, so the first time just with the fiberglass, and we were rushing, and it was like he kept fighting because you can't paint if it's too humid, and in Florida it's just ridiculous. And it was like we were getting plagued with rain. It was like the humidity in the shop, like he couldn't get it under control, and we were in a time crunch for FL2K. So yeah, when we had first put it all together, he was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe it." Which it was fine too, because honestly, it gave us the opportunity to see 2 different shades and kind of decide which route we wanted to go. So it worked out.
There you go.
Yeah, so it worked out. But and so he took care of it and fixed it all, and it looks, like I said, it looks absolutely phenomenal. I've never been so in love with the car before just by looking at it. And just to know that it's my color. It's great. You never know what it's gonna look like in the picture. Is it gonna be red? Is it gonna be orange? Is it gonna be, who knows? I don't know. Stay tuned to find out. Let's see. I think I pretty much covered everybody. Cylinder Clinic. The oil that I run, this is kind of like a little bit of a trade secret, because I believe only Aaron and I run this oil. So it's Schaefer's oil, but it's a Schaefer's Micron Moly oil. So it's meant for alcohol fuels. And it takes it so well. I had a downshift, not I had to, but I had a downshift experience with the car. I went through the traps at 170, and it literally went from third to first gear.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, oh my! It laid the car down. The whole front bumper got completely screwed up. Dave had to go through it and redo it for me and repaint it and everything else. I don't think I ever really talked about that. But I kind of did, and people said that it was my fault in an auto. I guess I manually downshifted it. Who knows? But everything was fine. Like, obviously we pulled the oil pan and everything because we wanted to inspect rings and make sure bearings and make sure everything was good. But that it just like leaves this kind of like a film on there. And there was actually a guy who ran this in his truck, in his toter, and he like threw a rod or something. I don't know what the hell he did. He did something, but he lost all the oil, but it was like the bearings and everything ended up being fine. It was some weird thing, but anyway, so the oil's great. Like I said, Aaron and I both run it, and we both love it. And I mean, he's a 7.0, whatever he is, 706, 705, something like that car. I'm not that fast, but so I'd rather use his car to sell the fact that it works, but it does. And so they're a great company. I honestly only work with great companies. If you're not a great company, I don't want to work with you. So, but yeah, I think I pretty much got everybody. Eat Sleep Race is great. They're cool. I think I got everybody. Oh, and English Racing, amazing people. They help me out a lot with just any sort of question that I have. Obviously, they kind of moved on from the DSM scene and have grown beyond that, but they're great people as well. So they helped me out a lot with pitting and things like that at World Cup.
Awesome. Well, I didn't think that we were going to be able to get this in. I know you're probably the world's busiest person, so I'm glad that we finally got a chance to sit down and talk, and hopefully everybody gets some relief knowing that the Phoenix is going to stay together and stay at home with its rightful owner. I know you said you were going to keep the shell, and you couldn't be separated from it, so I'm glad that it's staying together, and I'm sure everybody else is too.
I wouldn't say everybody, but yeah, I appreciate the positivity.
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on, and hopefully we see some updates, even if it's not till next year.
Yeah, we'll see. I need these part shortages to kind of go away before I pull the trigger on spending a bunch of money.
I can understand that. All right. Well, thanks again, and good luck.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the MitsuTimes podcast. Check out our Instagram and Facebook for daily updates. Get added to our list by going to MitsuTimes.org and clicking Submit a Slip. Thank you to all of our sponsors.